Thank you for all, and I hope I'm audible. Uh, Thank you. So in the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to talk a little bit about how three things which are very dear to my heart. One is, the way e-commerce is shaping up, or commerce for that matter is shaping up. Secondly, how are the consumers of commerce shaping up? And third is, how is technology going to impact all of this, right? So I have a small PPT, just about 30 odd slides. I'll walk you through very quickly, as briefly as I can. Okay, so as you all know, new forms of retail continue to come up, but the fact that people continue to buy products from one person or a platform, that will remain till such time consumption is there in the world. The forms of that is evolving. Things are changing very, very fast. Q-commerce has taken up 2 years ago when people started doing Q-commerce. A lot of people actually had kind of written it out, but I think the way things are shaping up today in India, it seems that it might be a success over here. The average basket value is going up over here. There are two very big factors which have kind of accelerated the adoption of Q-commerce while it failed in US, or even in the country where it actually started, which was Getir in Turkey, is because of low cost of deliveries. People are able to do 200, 300 deliveries at a fraction of a cost that happens in US. And second thing is the urban density of population is very, very high. So these two factors have actually accelerated the adoption of QCOM, and I so believe that it will only continue to accelerate. Now, while we were buying from mom and pop shops or kirana stores, as it's called in India, but the fact is that this shift is now happening where the traffic is moving away from mom and shop stores in urban areas, and you see more and more riders delivering, the products in QCOM. I don't know how many of us have experienced live shopping yet, but live shopping is another thing which is still on the horizon. It's going to come. Just to give you a context, you can look it up in Google later on. There's a person called Lipstick King in China. The guy sells women's lipstick by trying it on and giving his opinion. On Singles Day in 2022, he sold 1.7 billion worth of lipsticks, US dollars, in one day, in 12 hours period, right? So that's the kind of, now one might argue that China is a different country, it's got closed this thing, etc., etc. But the fact is that influencers and live streaming is slowly and steadily catching up. Social commerce is another area which is around the horizon. Meesho has done it very well in tier 2, tier 3 cities, and I think this is another disruption waiting to happen. Whether it happens in 3 years, 5 years, I'm not too sure, but this is another thing which is going to happen quite soon. Autonomous retail, this incidentally is of a shop in India itself, and I was seeing another WhatsApp forward. I don't know how far is it true. It is about again a place where there's nobody to even take the cash. It's again in India, and they said God is watching, and that's why people are very, very, very transparent over there. While Amazon tried it in US, but they had a very different backlash on it. The problem that they had was that they were giving the data back into India, so people said that, well, it's an autonomous shop, but actually it's the Indians back office, who's actually calculating how much are you buying. So they had a backlash on it, but I think with improved computer vision, with improved AI, this is something which will come into the future for sure. Now, while on one side we have the retail and how new trends are coming up in the sector, the second thing is that the consumers itself are evolving at a very big rate. They are better informed, they have different choices now, they have a wider pool to choose from, and then I'm going to cover that a little bit later in my talk, but their attention span is also very limited. So the ability for brands to actually make an impact is to find where their attention is and then be present over there, which is extremely, extremely important for brands to be successful. So as the retail landscape is changing, so is the consumer landscape. And I think that's where the brands need to connect with the ever evolving landscape of both consumers and the retail. Now there are about 7 areas that I feel are going to change a lot. So I'm going to very quickly cover each one of these. So first is search will go beyond the typical search, and it's already happening. So when I started this company about 6 years ago, the only thing that we had to focus on what are people searching on Amazon, because that's what the gold standard was. That if people search for a shampoo and if your product comes on top, that means you are actually killing it. Now, the share of search in the whole e-com or the digital business is actually going down, because there are more number of devices where people are at now. They are looking at multiple things before they make a decision. So they are searching either on Amazon or Flipkart or any other app. They're also asking their speakers, smart speakers, that which is the best thing like this. They'll go to AI. Just to give you a context, on a monthly level, if there are 8 billion searches on Google, 1 billion of them have now moved to ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude for that matter, and obviously DeepSeek. So there's a quantum shift that is happening on the way people are searching for information and searching for products. So people are now saying if somebody wants to buy pet food, they don't go to just Amazon and say, I want to buy this pet food. They will go and ask Gemini or Claude saying that my pet is of this size, this thing, what are the best pet food for this? So if companies or brands are not able to evolve and move away from Google SEO and dominate the search on AI, then I think they will lose market share very soon. Now, personalization, hyper-personalization. Now, this is another thing. With more and more data coming in, people like Netflix, etc., they've created a good personalization engine. But beyond a stage, personalization also starts feeling creepy. People don't like to be followed around. Second thing is, at the same time, privacy is also something which is very important for people, and people are now stopping exchange of their data. Right? So these are two trends that I've seen, that while personalization is going up, but at the same time, people don't want to give out the data. But there are other things also that are happening in personalization. So again, got to do with smart cameras, with AI at the background, trying to figure out who came, what did that person buy, and then trying and showing them results as to what they can buy next. Conversational commerce. This is another trend which is about to pick up. So what happens is that when there is a general use case, people will go on to either Google or any other chat engine, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc., and ask them. But when they have a problem with the product that they've already bought, or if they are, say, planning a travel or doing this, then the vertical e-commerce chats are going to become more conversational. So you will have AI agents who are trying to answer questions and queries about where your product is, etc., etc. And these AI agents will be smart enough to actually have a conversation where they try to upsell. So it doesn't look like an upsell, but because the person is in a system where the person is actually interacting with a voice agent, the voice agent is smart enough to actually suggest things. So these are things which are going to happen. It's already happening. A lot of people, I mean, I've seen lots and lots of companies providing chat agents to brands and platforms. And this is just starting to evolve. I think this is another big thing that's coming in. Now, data, we've already talked about the quantum data that's being generated. Now, at the same time, we also heard about how data is not effectively used. And I, for one, I can tell you this firsthand. In the e-commerce or in the digital commerce domain, you have 3 types of data. 1P data is which is owned by the brand itself, that they collect either through giving certain things or offers and trying to collect the customer data. Second is the second party data. So in this case, what's happening is, let's say that you are selling your products through Amazon or Flipkart. These platforms never give you the actual data of your consumers. So that data is lying with Amazon itself, but they're not giving it to you. And 3P data is the third party publicly available data which is available at that level. Now, smart companies are trying to weave all of this together. Now, how does this happen? So Amazon, I know Amazon because we are Amazon Advanced Partners, we work very closely with Amazon. So Amazon has got something called as Amazon Marketing Cloud. Amazon Marketing Cloud has got about 5 years of data for every brand which they've exposed now to agencies like us to actually go and search and query, use SQL to actually figure out what kind of interactions has the brand had. AMC also allows you to upload your first party data, so it anonymizes it and uses it, and it also has connectors with third party data. So now there are warehouses which are being built up where 1P, 2P and 3P data are all getting merged. So what will happen is in future, even if you don't know the person individually who's bought it, but at least you'll know that we are targeting the same person excuse me, through three different channels, which may not be the optimum way of targeting people. Now, there's another thing which is coming up when you have a lot of content and a lot of claims being done by the brands. So there's a standard trust, deficit, and but at the same time, we also know that first party data, whichever brand has got the lowest cost of ads. So I think what brands will have to do is they'll have to create more and more content, and we've already seen this in countries like China, where larger brands have got production houses within their own premises. Live stream shopping, like I just mentioned, this is going to disrupt the market once again. The surprising thing is that there's another area of AI which is coming up where you have these virtual influencers which are actually not human. And we've seen cases where the virtual influencers have better conversion rates than even human ones. There's another gap in between where what people are doing is they're cloning themselves. So I was seeing a video of a guy. So he's a tech expert. He does a lot of tech videos. But then when he's not able to attend an event, he sends somebody else to record what's happened in the event. And that gets fed into a system. And then the AI video is generated where actually he's not been to the event, but his avatar is kind of created by the AI. And that's doing very well. He's getting millions of views just on that. So live streaming, live shopping, I think that is something which will get integrated with live entertainment, and that's another trend that we'll have to look at. And obviously brands will have to become content creators. Till now what's happening is that you have these creators, a whole creator economy, and brands are leveraging this creator economy through partnerships. But what might happen in the future is that brands themselves will set up their own studios and will start having influencers at their own places. Now, given that you have a multitude of complexities with people with the consumers having less attention, so how do you actually create digital content which actually resonates and scales? So we've put a framework together. I'll just try to explain this in a very simple manner. So every platform, there are multiple of platforms, Insta, YouTube, and then you have Facebook, you have n number of social media platforms, TikTok, etc. Now each one have their own creative methodologies, and also they have a specific culture. So there's if you want to kill a platform, you onboard old people like us on that platform, youngsters will go away. That's the way it happens, right? So you don't see youngsters being on Facebook now. They're all on Insta, they're on Snapchat. They're not on platforms on which elder people are, right? That's how it is. So every platform has their own culture in a way. So as a creator or as a brand, you need to understand the platform's culture. At the same time, you also have to define the cohorts, right? So you need to work on these two, and then create a whole lot of organic content. So earlier, you had to create one good reel one good reel which would go on to your television ads, which millions of people would see at one time. Now it's no longer that way. Now you have small video content, micro video content, which is getting created by n number of people, and something resonates. So what happened actually, which changed this entire demography, was the propagation of the content happened on interest. So this change happened this was primarily done by TikTok about 4-5 years ago, and that's how even if I'm not connected to a person, but that person has created something which is of interest to me, it will be shown to me on Insta. That's how it has happened now. So creating content which can be appealing to people of a certain interest group at a regular interval is something very, very important. Now, once you create, say, 4 reels in a day, or a brand creates 4 reels in a day, and then you get in a month, let's say you have 120 reels, out of which 1 or 2 are the ones which actually get that kind of a connection with the audience. Now, that is something what is a modern commercial. You push money on that, and that is what will give you best results. And once you get those results, then you analyze, you again refine the cohort, and you refine the platform culture. So it will give you a better understanding of on which platform, what reel did better, and why. And then you start creating organic content around that. So if you use this framework continuously, there's a stronger chance that you'll be able to connect to the consumers at the place that they are. To put it very, very succinctly, this is what we are suggesting. Understand the platform and the culture, segment the audience, create a lot of organic content, identify trending videos, amplify the content by putting money on those which are already doing better, analyze the content, the performance, and then optimize the cohorts, content, and insights. Now, this is something which you might have all seen. This is borrowed from Gartner's hype cycle. They say that every technology goes through this particular cycle. So there's an innovation trigger where a lot of people start, doing research around a technology, and then what happens is that there's a peak of inflated expectations. So when new thing comes up, there's a lot of novelty around it. People think that it's going to change the world. It doesn't happen like that. So there's a peak where it reaches, where every analyst is talking about it. Every publication is doing rounds of events around it. And then what happens? They realize, no, it cannot be used. Then there's a trough of disappointment. And then finally it comes down to a stable stage. This is generally what happens with everything. Now the important part over here is, where does AI lie in over here? I'll put these slides on LinkedIn so you guys can take it from there also. But the fact is that the only thing which is at some stage over here is the one which is on computer vision, which is at this one. So this is where it's the plateau of productivity. So this is something which is stable. The rest of it is still work in progress. So it's going to take time for maturing, and this generally gives you a time horizon of 2 to 5 years. So business cases are being developed on AI, and people are using to reduce manual work. I'll give you a few good examples over here also how it's happening. So a no-brainer where AI is going to disrupt first is efficiency and cost reduction. And second is enhanced data insights. What sir told in the morning, that we have a lot of data, but insights not coming. So AI solves for it in a good manner. If you use a good AI agent like Claude or Gemini, you are able to draw a lot of insights. Now the only problem is that you need to have the AI sitting on your premises, because you don't want the data go out. So now they are open source models which you can now deploy on your own premises and have that data analyzed and get you insights which typically an army of analysts would produce, can be produced at a fraction of a cost, much faster by AI. We're already doing it for a few of our clients. We've already integrated, Gen AI for creating reports. So we used to send reports where people used to look at the data across multiple factors and then send it out. So we developed an AI agent which now does it on behalf of the analyst. So the analyst's job is just to check that report, because we're not very certain that everything's correct, because AI is still prone to hallucinations and stuff like that. But this is another. These are things which will happen very shortly. I mean, 2 or 3 years is max what I'm looking at. Now, other things where people will start using AI is to generate AI copies. Now, with personalization and with AI, you have more of same. That's what Sir also told in the morning. And I kind of agree with it. So when you start using a lot of technology, what happens is that the results kind of converge. So it's not that you'll have diversity of things coming up, but then if a human is intelligent enough to use technology, he'll have more ideas or more content coming up in areas where that person wants, where he or she wants it. So what I'm trying to say is that if you leave it up to AI, it'll narrow down. But if you want to broad base it, you'll have to keep asking the relevant questions. So you'll have to keep prompting in different ways to get divergent views. One other way is that you use different models. So with the same prompt, if you give it to a ChatGPT and a Claude and a DeepSeek and a Perplexity and a Gemini, you'll get different answers. So that's another thing that you could do. Now, way back in early 1900s, late 1800s, John Wanamaker was one of the pioneers in marketing. So this guy said, half of my money which I spend on marketing is lost, and I don't know which one. And it is relevant even today. So because you have so many channels on which you spend, you don't know whether the marketing thing is going to the right person in the right time also or not. And that is something which we've seen today. So you have multi-touch attribution. People will see a different thing, they'll get influenced by a different thing, and they'll purchase it on a different platform. And the first purchase might happen on a marketplace like Amazon, Flipkart, and the second purchase might happen on a QCOM. So this whole journey of finding a brand and then doing a trade are now very, very different. Earlier it was very simple. See it on TV. I kind of relate to what Sir said in the morning. If you were young in 80s, or if you were around in 80s, when Mahabharata came, the roads used to be empty. Really. Sunday morning was the time when Mahabharata used to get aired, and the roads used to be empty. And if you had ads running that time of Nirma and all that, I think you could have captive audience to look at your ads. But now, like I said, attention has gone everywhere. People will be on Insta, they'll be on Facebook, they'll be on Twitter, they'll be on LinkedIn, they'll be on other social platforms. So and that too, the attention is diversified. Also, the span is less. If you don't click in the first 2 seconds, you'll not make an impression. That's how it is. So brands have to be smart about it. They have to understand how this whole thing is evolving, and I think that's where the human intelligence will actually come into play. Now, which are the segments where AI is actually impacting or is being used by marketers? It's as shown over here. So creating content, like I said, right? Anybody's used napkin.ai? No? So let's say if you have content and you want to create slides out of it, or you want visuals out of it. Napkin.ai, I've used it effectively. You get very nice charts, graphs, etc. You can tell whole stories around it. So the way things are evolving now is that you do research somewhere else, you finalize it using some other AI, and then you visualize it using some other AI. Claude also does very good charting for that matter. So Claude, napkin.ai, they do very good charting. But then research can be done by Perplexity. So you could use these different AI sets to actually do this. Then Optimizing content. We've done a pilot on this. We've used a series of agents. We've strung them up on make.com. I don't know if you guys know this, but make.com is, if you're using multiple AI tools, then how do you transfer the data from one tool, take the result on the other one, refine it on the third one, and then take the output on the other one, and then use a project management tool like Asana or something. So a simple use case is you want to audit a website, figure out what the issues are, and then whichever keywords are missing, create content around it, and then give it to an editor to actually review it and do it. All this can be done in a matter of 5 or 6 minutes. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes to do it. They'll, based on the keywords, they do the research. It's all being done by agents autonomously, believe me. And this is another area where we are seeing a lot of it. Brainstorming content. Like I said, a lot of times you get, like when I was researching for this particular event and this particular presentation, I wanted to figure out what all can I cover here. So what I did was I went on to these 3 or 4 areas, and then I picked up what came as good to me, and then after that I used 2 sounding boards also, which were humans. So after I used AI to create a basic mock-up of what I wanted to present over here, then I spoke to 2 people, one in US, one in India, who were pioneers, whom I consider very good in this area. And I spoke to them and I got their feedback, and that's how we curated this presentation. So what I'm saying is brainstorming ideas is another area where people, when they need ideas, they can go onto these AI platforms and they can get this. Analyzing data for insights, I just mentioned that a little while ago. Tools are becoming more easy to use. You don't need technical know-how, a whole lot of it. You can just give out the data and just say, okay, find me the trends over here, and it does a beautiful job. I don't know if, has anybody heard of Manus.ai? No? So okay, we have one hand going up over there. So it's the rage now. Again, a Chinese agent, and what they're saying is the first step towards AGI. So this particular model, what it does is it figures out what are the 10 steps that you need to do this, and then it goes through each of these ones. It crashes once in a while because it's still in beta. But if you ask them, okay, I want to analyze this stock over the last 5 years, it'll do a fantastic job, and it'll create a complete presentation of how it's been, etc., etc. So those multi-step things which were not possible earlier, or for which you had to create agents now, are being developed. And some call it a wrapper over the base AIs or whatever it is. But the fact is that these multi-step AI is now getting available, although in beta. So even if it's beta right now, maybe 3 years right on down the line, it will become mainstream. And then, like I said, automating tasks and processes. This is again no-brainer. This is something which is going to happen. Now, this particular thing is actually generated by AI. It's a proper commercial used by Coca-Cola. So if you look at it, now, like I said, that this is made by AI, you can see that, it's not as maybe close to a real production. But the fact that they've used this and they have used it as a commercial means that it is of an acceptable quality, that they're okay to do it at 1/100th of the cost of what it would have taken, both in terms of money and in time. So, if you were to shoot this kind of a commercial, it will take you a whole lot of time and effort and money. But if you do it over AI, it may not be of the same quality right now, but another 2 or 3 years it will happen. So the whole cost of production of content and the time to produce content is going to shorten dramatically. But then, uh, there are certain contradictions also which I'll talk about, and then I'll just wrap up my talk, another 2-3 slides. So, like we discussed, that people expect a lot of personalization, but at the same time, they don't want to give out their thing. The loyalties of the brands are declining day by day, but the number of loyalty programs are increasing. I'll give you an example. I flew Indigo. Indigo never had a loyalty program for almost 16, 17 years, but they've started it because they realized that loyalties are shifting very quickly. Now, interestingly, I would like to conclude by saying that the more things change, the more they remain the same. Okay. Now, it may be contradictory to whatever I have said till now, but that's a fact. I'll just prove it. So, this guy was one of the guys who got executed in 1988, in about a decade in US, and he was killed by a firing squad. What's it to do with AI and what's it to do with marketing or e-commerce for that matter? Interestingly, this guy was the trigger for this tagline. So in 1988, Nike was way below Reebok. They just had a 8% market share, and they had taken up a new marketing agency to help them design a design a tagline for them, that we want to do a marketing campaign. Can you give us an ad copy which we can use? In 1988, when this guy was interviewed for the last time, his last words were, "I don't care, just do it." And he was killed by a firing squad. And that was in newspapers. So the person who was responsible for creating this tagline, he kind of took those words, and instead of using "just do it," he said, "let's do it." He took it to Nike himself. Nike did not like it in the first go, so he said, "No, we don't do this." But then the ad agent, he kind of prevailed. The first ad that they ran, and you can Google it up also, was on a 80-year-old marathoner. It was a 30-second commercial, and it ended with "just do it." And when they started running these ads, their market share rose from 8% to 40% in a matter of few years. So now, like I said, the more things change, the more they remain the same. The ability to understand what will connect with the audience is not something which AI can do for you. That is something which the brands will have to discover themselves. And that is where human creativity will continue to prevail. AI will do the stuff, it will do stuff faster, easier, and better than humans in future. But the creativity and the ability to create stories which will connect with the audience will remain in the realm of humans. Now, another example over here. So the one on the left is stone, which was written in 1750 BC. It is the first known consumer complaint 4,000 years ago, where Nasir got this from one of the customers. He said that, the ore is not of the right quality and you mistreated my servant. I'm not going to come back to you again. And then you have Twitter, where people give this in real time. This must have taken a couple of months to reach El Nasir, but this is where companies are today, and they still don't listen to the customers. So that doesn't change. So technology will help you with a lot of stuff, but things will not change. Now, last two slides, if you don't mind. So one is this particular brand, before going bankrupt, clearly articulated that because we could not pivot the business model to e-com, and because we could not connect to the younger audience, that's the reason why we had to go bankrupt. So, 1928 to 36, this guy sold 1 million cars in black. But now the same company is asking people to color their own logo. So, when you had a consumer, when you had a maker's market, you could make whatever and get consumed, but now it's a consumer market, so you need personalization, you need to appeal to the customer. This is a book, Good to Great, where they took 11 companies, analyzed them over 100 years, and said these are great companies and this is how they are great. Out of which 4 of them today are not great. In fact, 3 of them actually, 2 of them folded, and 2 of them are under tremendous pressure. So what could survive for 100 years will not survive in the future if companies do not adapt. 99.8% of the total organisms which ever existed on Earth do not exist today. The ones 0.2%, and we are one of them who have survived, is because we followed that rule, adapt to survive. So AI is there, it is the new future, and if we don't adapt to it, we will not survive. Thank you.